Good day, everybody. Meteorologist Mark Molnar here. Thanks for joining me for this tropical and severe weather update. We have a major extreme Hurricane Darby out in the Eastern Pacific. It looks like a buzzsaw. We're also dealing with that system in the Gulf of Mexico we're going to take a look at and see what else we've got going on in the tropics as well. We got severe weather in the Northeast for your Tuesday, and then we got major heat wave building across much of the country. What's going to go on with that? Is drought going to continue? Is the drought going to expand? Let's get into it. And don't forget this forecast segment, we are going to be looking at the possibility of severe thunderstorms across parts of the Northeast for your Tuesday. I will have that right after the tropical update here. Now, before we get into everything here, this is major hurricane category 4 Darby here. Just a massive classic buzzsaw. Look at this. The inflow outflow is just amazing. This is really what you want to see as a classic textbook hurricane buzzsaw. Perfect eye, central dense overcast. You don't get much more perfect than this. And this could eventually head towards Hawaii in a much weaker state. So let's break that down. So take a look at this big old mess. This is a lot of shower and thunderstorm activity. This is a very broad area. This is a stalled out frontal boundary essentially here. So we're going to watch this for potential development over the next 5 days. And as you can see on the water vapor loop here, you got dry air to the north here. Some of these thunderstorms are developing in it quite easily though. So we don't have any dry air intruding into this system at any point. So that is one thing going for it here. There's a lot of moisture here in the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere. All right, so the big area is off the Gulf Coast there. That is our only area in the Atlantic, but it is a big area to watch. We'll be watching it over the next 3 to 5 days here for any development. It's the tail end of a frontal boundary, and there's persistent thunderstorms. It is going to be a big rainfall producer here in the Gulf Coast region. I'm going to show you its big effects on the Gulf Coast states. Okay, so looking at the Eastern Pacific, major Hurricane Darby is going to be a big player out in the Pacific here. It could eventually, it's going to weaken. It's category 4, but 7-10 days out, it's going to be in a much weaker state. It will approach the big island of Hawaii. We'll see just how close it gets, but there could be some heavy surf, some showers, thunderstorms, that sort of thing. So we'll watch out for that. But we're watching another area behind major Hurricane Darby back towards just south of Mexico. This system might come a little bit closer to the Mexican coast. Let's get into the models here. All right, so let's take a look at the Euro here first for our system in the Gulf. What you want to see is thunderstorms persist, even into the nighttime hours, not just a daytime heating like a frontal boundary. Take a look at this. So the Euro is kind of hinting at something by Wednesday here, developing, and look at this. By about the Thursday time frame, it tries to start closing off some sort of a low here towards southeast Texas. And then as we continue in time here, take a look at this. This is Friday. This is just south of New Orleans. You kind of get the hint that these storms are even firing during the nighttime here, which is something you want to see for a developing tropical system. And then you really start to see it here by Saturday, just south of the Louisiana coastline here. And then look at that. It holds on to a low-pressure system just south of New Orleans. We head into the weekend, heavy rains persisting. This is going to be a big rainmaker, whether it becomes a named storm or not. But, the Euro's hinting that something here could be developing and making landfall towards the beginning of next week and then pinwheeling towards the northeast. If we take a look at the GFS model, let's take a look at that. So take a look at, we go on time here. Here is that system. It seems to be persisting into Tuesday here. Let's see what the GFS does with it here. It kind of develops it and brings it into southern Mississippi here, just northeast of New Orleans. It is a bit more progressive than the Euro, and then it kind of tanks it and pinwheels it off towards the northeast. So that is an interesting solution as well. All right, so let's take a look. We have major Hurricane Darby out here. Not going to be a threat until it gets closer to Hawaii. I'll show you that momentarily. But here is our next potential system out here. Look at this. It's a very broad area of low pressure. And you can see, there we go. You're getting all that monsoon up along the western Mexican coastline here from Acapulco all the way up to Puerto Vallarta. So look at this. Here it is. This is the development of what could be our next named storm. This is Friday time frame. So this is going out a few days. This is towards the end of your week. But look what it starts to do. The GFS kicks it a bit closer to the land here, where it could start affecting some of these resort towns towards Acapulco. So let's continue to put this into motion. It does strengthen it pretty rapidly, blowing this up into another potential major hurricane by Monday, July 18th. So, You know, a lot can change between now and then, but look what it starts doing. It starts bringing some outer feeder bands towards the western Mexican coastline, just towards Puerto Vallarta here. So if you're along some of these resort towns, you're going to get some major, major waves from this. And look how it just blows this up. This is going to be a pretty big buzzsaw, pretty close to the Mexican coastline. So definitely want to stay tuned for this. Look at this. This is coming dangerously close here to Cabo San Lucas. Southern Baja California here. Look at this. And it brings it up just paralleling the coast. All right, let's see what the Euro does here. So we have some impulses of energy. The Euro seems to slowly be a little bit further to the south, more broad area of low pressure. Now watch what it does with this system. Euro is much more progressive further to the south, and the GFS is much further to the north. So we're definitely going to want to keep an eye on this. The Euro is still hinting that a lot of tropical moisture is going to be funneled towards Acapulco and Puerto Vallarta, though. So definitely, if you're in some of these resort towns, these beautiful resort towns in Mexico, definitely stay tuned. I'll keep you up to date as this system, the Euro, takes it much further out into the ocean here, but still a big wave producer and a big moisture feeding into the monsoon. All right, so let's see how close major catastrophic Hurricane Darby here gets to Hawaii. So this is Wednesday. So Wednesday morning, here it is. Big old storm here. Here's the Hawaiian island chain. Here's the Big Island. Big Island has the best chance of getting any effects from this. Now look at this. It's still a hurricane by this point. Friday, July 15th. And look at that. Oh, he's got a few impulses out here too. Definitely got to watch a few of these out here as they approach the western Pacific. But look at this. It's still a tropical storm by this point Saturday. But it is starting to veer towards the south, and by this point, it starts to really lose it. It might only be a tropical depression by this point, but look how close it is to that Big Island here. Look at that. So, is this going to be a season where, look at that, there's some moisture kicking up here. So, this could eventually make its way across the Central Pacific and maybe merge with some of these tropical waves over here. Something definitely to keep an eye on. All right, so let's take a look at the modeling of the system here into the Gulf of Mexico. Things are really getting interesting. You see most of the moisture is up here in the panhandle of Florida and southern Georgia and Alabama. Now watch this as we put this into time. You know, this is midnight, Monday night. So we continue to go in time here. You can see how the system starts to really evolve. You know, we get into the early morning hours of tomorrow morning, and we get ourselves an explosion of showers and thunderstorms off the Louisiana and Mississippi coastlines here, and then we start to see, you know, some increased moisture up here into the panhandle of Florida. You know, as we continue here, let's go a little bit further out here. You can see during the day most of these showers and thunderstorms stay offshore, but you see what's happening here. These are becoming very persistent. And that's what you want to see for a developing, you know, system. This is 5 p.m. on Tuesday afternoon. You see you still have showers and thunderstorms, the panhandle of Florida, southwestern Georgia, and southeastern Alabama. Now, look what you start to see over here towards the Louisiana and southeast Texas coastline towards Houston. You start to see some showers and thunderstorm action with this. You know, as we continue to put this into motion, this is 5 p.m. Tuesday. So, we continue. Look at this. So, we start to lose the daytime heating. You notice we're still dealing with some showers and thunderstorms, but it's not as prevalent. So, it's still indicative of, you know, a frontal boundary. But look what starts to happen again. We start to see a resurgence of showers and thunderstorms. These are rather persistent. This is 9 a.m. on Wednesday. And this is a pretty big area. You can see just off the Louisiana coastline by this time. Quite a big development. You can see some tropical moisture kind of feeding it in from the south here at this point. So this is going to be a stalled frontal boundary. And this time of year, you always want to watch these. Now look how you start to see the surge of moisture. This is towards Wednesday noon, 1 p.m., 2 p.m. Now, you still see it looks kind of linear in nature here. There's a kind of a squall line washing out here. But one thing's certain here, it's very persistent. And you usually have to see this persist 4, 5, 6, 7 days before you see development usually. Sometimes it's even less, but look at this. We're getting some shower and thunderstorm development up here into parts of Georgia. Now, as we continue in time here, take a look at this. we get into later Wednesday. And it's interesting because, you know, the NAM kind of loses a lot of that cloud cover and that punch, but you still have the frontal boundary here. You can see the tail end of it. So we still have to watch this system. It's a ways off from developing into anything. But at this point, we definitely want to keep an eye on it because it's so close to the coastline. And it's just going to meander off the coast here and just really just go at a snail's pace, you know, this week. We're going to be talking about this for a long time. All right, so let's take a look at total rainfall accumulations. This is through Wednesday morning. Then you get into Thursday, Friday. Look at this. Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So this is like a week. Look at this. So yeah, we got, you know, generally around an inch to inch and a half, 2 inches here in southeast Texas. Look at over here towards New Orleans and over here towards Pensacola, Mobile, Alabama. This is gonna, you know, you're gonna have a very rainy time of it the next several days. So even if this thing doesn't develop into anything, it's gonna be a pretty big rainmaker. And you know, if we get into, let me just head a little bit to the east here so I can show you, you know, on the eastern side of the system where a lot of the rainfall is going to be. Look at, oh my gosh, look at this. This is pretty intense here. This is like rainfall approaching a foot here in southern Alabama and the panhandle of Florida. Look at this. And then you get into parts just southeast Louisiana here. This is craziness. You know, this is approaching 6, 7, 8 inches. So this is pretty intense material here. So we'll be tracking it here for you over the next several days. All right, so severe weather, the big threat here is going to be on Tuesday here across the Northeast, from northern Maine all the way down to Maryland and extreme northern Virginia here into the yellow zone, particularly after 1 p.m. You get right around, you know, the Williamsport, Wilkes-Barre area, and, you know, just around the east of Interstate 81 here is where you're going to really get into some severe weather, the Catskills, Poconos, the Hudson Valley region, up into parts of New England here. So this is what we're going to be looking for. And if we take a look at the tornado outlook, there is about a 2% chance. So some of these could rotate. It's not going to be a widespread outbreak, though. Hail will be a little bit of a factor. But as I said before, the wind is going to be the biggest factor. All right, so taking a look here at the Northeast, this is going to be our focus for your Tuesday. Let's take a look here. So let's stop this, and we'll take it from the very beginning here. So, you know, we get into overnight, Monday night. There's not much happening. We do have a mesoscale convective system, you know, back here in Michigan and southern Ontario. But you know what? The good thing about this is it's in the middle of the night, so it's not going to affect anybody. 1 a.m., there's not going to be like major, tremendous problems with the daytime heating. There is no daytime heating, you know, so that helps us out a bit. But as we go into the day, take a look at this. This is 3 a.m., then you have 4 a.m. Look at that just north of Cleveland there towards Erie, Pennsylvania. This is where we start to get 5 a.m. towards sunrise. We start to get this, it's kind of a broken line. We have some storms here back in Indianapolis and back towards Erie, Buffalo area, and then up north of Toronto here. So take a look at this. Let's put this into motion here. So as we continue here, some of these storms become very frisky here just after sunrise. Look at this, Cattaraugus, Chautauqua County, Erie County here, Allegheny County. These are the areas we're going to watch. And this line is really going to get itself cranking here across upstate New York and northwestern Pennsylvania. Another cluster there towards Columbus. So some of these storms could contain, you know, brief gusty winds, damaging winds, large hail. So we start to see this more linearly. This is 8 a.m., so we're not at anywhere close to the peak daytime heating. But watch this as we continue to put this into motion here. You know, towards Binghamton, Cortland, Ithaca, these areas just west of Pittsburgh. We'll watch this here, and then we got a generalized shower and thunderstorm activity into northern New England. Now, as we continue throughout the day here, let's continue to push this into motion. Up towards north of Albany, that line lifts. Now, look what's forming here around Pittsburgh. It looks like the development, the beginning of a mesoscale convective system. We're getting towards 11 a.m. here on Tuesday, July 12th. So let's kick this up a notch further here. And as we continue, it heads towards State College area, and then things really start to get cranking here across Pennsylvania. So, yeah, if you're south of Binghamton, if you're towards the Wilkes-Barre area, over towards Williamsport, State College. These areas could really get into some big-time storms here towards 1 p.m. And as we continue to put this into motion here, it's going to get pretty interesting around the Wilkes-Barre-Scranton area here. Take a look at this. So this is getting in towards, let's just back this up a frame. So here we go. Well, let's zoom in a little bit here. So yeah, we're getting some heavier cells up here in northern New England. But, the big show is going to be down here from Williamsport to Wilkes-Barre-Scranton here. This is where things could really get interesting. And let's just zoom out just slightly. As I continue to go into the future here, you see that really starts to pummel parts of the southern Catskills, lower Hudson Valley. It's really getting quite dicey here around this region for big-time storms. And we'll continue. This is 3 p.m. on Tuesday afternoon, so the model is really consistent here. Look at this, and then we start to get some development back up towards Binghamton, little cells developing here. So the main show is going to be out ahead here, just east of Albany by this time. So these storms are going to contain damaging wind, large hail, frequent lightning. It's going to be interesting. And look at this, by 5 p.m., just in time for the afternoon rush, we have some storms up here in the western Catskills in the upper Susquehanna Valley as well. But look at these storms around New York City, Hartford, over toward, look at this. This is pretty interesting. Just west of Philadelphia, some of these could really get cranking into some severe weather here, and this is really interesting to see on the radar here. So look at this. See how some of these start to really bow out just east of New York City here. We get some of these bowing line segments. Damaging wind is going to be a big threat here. And another line tries to get going here and another small line back here. But you can see down even towards the nation's capital here. Look at this. And into northern Virginia and West Virginia. We start to get some development down here as well. Even up here into northern Maine, some of these could get a little frisky. So as we continue to put this into motion here, take a look at this. So yeah, we're going to be in the thick of it. This is 7 p.m., 8 p.m. Look at this. More development back towards just south of Wilkes-Barre-Scranton area. So we're going to be dealing with quite a long day here of destructive winds, large hail, the Catskills, Poconos, lower Susquehanna Valley, up towards the Hudson Valley and the western part of New England here. So some of these could really get cranking. Now let's take it beyond that. We'll get here. Look at that. Some of those storms just west of New York City. But then we lose the daytime heating, and you see these kind of weaken a little bit. There's still a strong cell here right around Delaware, just south of Philadelphia here. But these start to weaken, thankfully, up here in parts of New England. Now, as we continue to put this into motion, you can see things really weaken by early Wednesday morning. Take a look at this. You really don't see much of anything developing. Now, you might have some scattered showers and thunderstorms, developing up here into parts of the Northeast. But, it's not going to be an all-day event like it was, during the day on Tuesday. So as we continue to put this into motion, last few frames, you can see, yeah, we are dealing with a few problems up here, some of these scattered showers and thunderstorms, but these aren't expected to be severe for your Wednesday. Now, there could be some strong, look, it's down here. This is where we're going to, start to get into some problems down here into the southeast. All right, so if you take a look at the drought, most of these areas out west, they're in a more than 10-year drought here. But let's take a look at the northeast here. Take a look at this. This expanding drought into a moderate drought into most of central and eastern New England. This is not good news. In this area, we're getting much more drier than average conditions here into the yellows. Extended outlook for my hometown viewers, upper Susquehanna, River Valley, Binghamton to Scranton. Look at that, Tuesday through Saturday. The big trouble day is going to be your Tuesday. If you're in Binghamton, it's going to be right around the noon time period, 2 p.m. If you're in Wilkes-Barre-Scranton, it's going to be closer to, say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then another round potentially after 6 o'clock. So Wilkes-Barre-Scranton is going to be much more hit by this system than Binghamton area. So definitely temperatures getting up into the mid-80s. You'll have less rain towards Binghamton, maybe a tenth to a quarter inch, but you'll have half to 3/4 of an inch closer to Wilkes-Barre-Scranton. We clear it out for your Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Look at that. We have a nice slow climb. We start to feel the heat by Saturday. As always, I want to thank you for joining me for this edition of Weather Eastern. Hurricane link for 2022 is in the link in the description down below. If you haven't watched my Hurricane Outlook, go ahead and watch it. And Media Mark on Facebook. Also, weather northeastern, also hurricane northeastern. If you're into my localized weather from Binghamton to Scranton's Upper Susquehanna River Valley, Susquehanna Weather. Also Twitter at Weather Eastern. You can also visit me at MediaMark.com, WeatherNortheastern.com. Thank you for joining me.